Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome if you're new. My name is Heather, Quantum Healing Within. I've got Sarah with SH Frequencies with me here, and we have the just beautiful soul, Daniel Eric, in the house with us for another episode of Portal Chats. These chats we've been having with our Quantum Soul Portal members who we absolutely adore. Each one of them is so unique and has such an incredible journey. And I think it's so fun to share what all we've been through our awakening experience, all of the crazy things. It helps us to feel not quite so alone on this journey. So, Daniel, welcome. We're so excited to have you here.
Thanks for having me, Heather. Nice to be with you. Nice to be with you, Sarah.
You too, Daniel. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Daniel. I love you came in the portal. You've been in there for several months now, haven't you? Yeah. When
Yep.
did
I
you come
think I
in?
arrived around October, November of last year.
Yeah, and I love it. So we don't have many men in the portal. We just have a
Yep.
few. But I was thinking about this before we started this episode. I was like, I love the men that we have in the portal. You're all very different, but what stands out so much to me is the divine masculine aspect that you all carry. And I can really feel that when you guys come in. It's like you hold a beautiful balance with all of the ladies in the portal. But you bring such a just that beautiful masculine essence. I think that we're shifting into as we move into more of that divine feminine, divine masculine of new earth that we sort of see. So I appreciate that so much when you guys show up. It's been such a lovely addition. But I wanted to jump right into your story and your awakening journey and, kind of how that's unfolded for you.
Absolutely. Well, first, thanks for that reflection. I have no doubt that's probably one of the reasons why I was called to join the portal, bring some masculine energy. But man, I could talk about my awakening experiences for many hours because it's been a rapid, intense journey. But I can share it at high level to start, and we can zoom in on anything in particular that you all feel is worth doing so. High level, I think I followed the standard life plan. Um, just kind of dues are told, go to school, get a good job type of thing. I was fully asleep in the matrix for a good 32 years and was just like fully immersed in that. Mid 20s, late 20s, started getting really strong feelings that I was like seeking for something. There's something more, there's something else. I really don't like the way my life is going. I feel like really out of place. I don't belong here. Just doing a lot of seeking, ended up doing a lot of traveling. In 2019, I even quit my job and went traveling for 8 months thinking, oh, there's something out there I'm going to find. Didn't find it, ended up right back where I was. But a couple years later, ended up finding myself in an ayahuasca ceremony. And that really was like the trigger event for me to really just completely crack open. My life is split in two. On the day I had two ayahuasca ceremonies in particular in 2022, that day is forever like seared into my consciousness, split into before and after that day. It was just such a dramatic experience. Um, Many things happened during that. And that was my first real foray into such a dramatic plant medicine, psychedelic type of experience. I was connecting with spirits in who were no longer alive, spirits who were currently alive, interdimensional beings. And the main essence of what I was getting from that is essentially it's time to wake up. I got all these messages about who I am. I have all these abilities. You have this mission. It's time to get to work. And all of that just made no sense to me, but it was amazing while I was going through it. And after that, I come down, I'm kind of floating on this high. Like, what was that about? Because it was still just brand new to me. But very shortly after, I dipped into a very deep, dark night of the soul. Some other
Mm-hmm.
things started coming to my field where it really just completely shattered my concept of reality. Literally, like everything, just my concept of how this entire reality works was literally shattered like instantly. And from that moment forward, I started getting downloads while I was sleeping for a few weeks. And then a few weeks later, had some really terrifying experiences with what I thought were like entities trying to like attack me or something. So it was a very intense 3 month period after that ayahuasca ceremony. And really for a good 2 to 3 years afterwards, that real peak experience lasted maybe 3 months of real intense terror, overwhelm, kind of thinking I was going to die most days.
Wow.
But at the same time, I started remembering like who I am, why I'm here. Like I started going down rabbit holes and seeking the information that I was starting to become opened up to, that I was cracked open during that ayahuasca ceremonies. So I was just seeking voraciously information, like what is all of this? What am I being opened up to? Like help me make sense of all this. And slowly but surely started piecing things together, having sessions with like healers in areas where I was living recently. And they were kind of channeling my spirit guides. And I had no clue what that was, but they were telling me information that just made absolutely perfect sense about what I was going through. So slowly but surely, over months and the past few years, just piecing things together, like why I was going through all of this, the intensity that essentially I chose this. I chose to be here, to be a part of this shift in consciousness that we're all here about. And for about 3 years where I was living before I'm where I am now, I was in pretty intense isolation in on the Florida Panhandle, just kind of by myself, away from the. Basically, I just had a lot of space to go through that process, and it required almost 3 years of really intense isolation to just purge a lot of density out from my field, expand, open, remember, and as a byproduct of that, also remembering the fact that one of my roles in this shift in consciousness is to be some form of a front runner in terms of the energies. So that kind of reinforced why my experiences were so intense and so rapid. I had to kind of catch up and really rapidly purge all the programming that we all take on by being in this reality. So it was a really fast, rapid kind of sink or swim, figure it out as you go. Not a whole lot of guidance in the beginning parts of my awakening, but that's kind of high level of my experiences. In the midst of that kind of isolation, I started being called to go on excursions, healing retreats, and explore new avenues. I was working a corporate job prior to that, working corporate jobs most of my adult life that I didn't resonate with at all. I knew this was not really anything that aligned with me. I felt like I was always meant for something more, and other things started coming to my field, such as music. I learned that I wanted to get into DJing specifically for ecstatic dance and to lead experiences for others in that, because during my expansion process, I had quite a few experiences where I was able to hit these really peak states, just being on the receiving end of ecstatic dance experiences. And that's when I was able to open up some really profound energetic sensitivity experiences and transmute energy around me. So I learned that, I should probably do more of this, and I could probably facilitate this for other people as well. So that's kind of one of the main avenues that I'm going to continue to explore and offer in the future. But that's just kind of a high level of what this past few years have been like for me in my awakening experiences.
I mean, like,
And look at you now.
Like yeah. No big deal. Like you just moved through it with ease. Just got through all of that.
Yeah.
It
does feel like a whole
easy, but no, it was not easy.
Yeah. It does feel like a whole death process. I feel like that's kind of what it is energetically.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what is it about that 3-year period? Because I had that same 3-year period. Interestingly enough, like everything fell apart. And then it was go time. It was very similar to you, dark night of the soul, purging, releasing, clearing, learning, seeking, every single thing that you said. And it's almost like you have to get up to speed really, really quick. It's like you wait till the last minute but mine started in 2017, where yours started a little bit later, but you really do go through this massive clearing, releasing, shifting. Everything falls apart, but then you're being rebuilt into a new version of yourself. It's not an easy process. I've asked, can't we go through this a little bit more gently? And there are people who do go through that sort of gentle awakening, but then I guess some of us picked check the box. Which one do you want? The gentle path or the full on? We're like, we'll take the full on path.
I actually received that exact message. I did a quantum healing hypnosis technique session, which you're familiar with, that you facilitate yourself. So I'd say about 9 months-ish after my trigger event from ayahuasca, I started coming down somewhat from that really peak dark intensity. And my thought was, I need to understand what all just happened here. So I decided to do a QHHT session. And one of my main questions was like, what the heck was all that? Why was that so intense? And my higher aspect that was coming through said, basically, I chose to rip the Band-Aid off. There's a fast option, there's a medium option, there's a slow option. We chose the fast option. Metaphorically speaking, you can go see a therapist once a week, but that takes years to clear all of that stuff out of you. Or you can take dynamite and just blow it all to hell in one go. So my soul chose the dynamite option.
I like that. I'm going to start using that. Would you like the dynamite option or the one that takes for? Yeah, no, it really is. And I feel like that's what we go through with big shifts in our life when we're ready to move up or up level. We go through these big shifts where everything sort of just quickly exits, and then you have to sort of realign. It's intense.
Absolutely.
Our stories are so parallel, Daniel, because I grew up, well, not grew up, in my adult life growing up, I was in a corporate setting, and I've always felt, I'm not meant to do this, but that's the only thing that I knew. So I was like, well, maybe I'm just going to be like really big in the company or be like this really good employee or something. But I'm like, but I freaking hate it here. I'm like, so I don't know. But that's all that you can kind of understand at that moment is like, is it here? Because what else is there? And then in 2019, I quit my corporate job and traveled. I went to California first and then went to the East Coast and then ended up like staying on a farm for like 3 months to isolate. And I remember I just painted and played with chickens. I didn't know what the crap was going on, and then had a rapid dark night of the soul and continued to run for a bit because I didn't know what the crap was going on, and moved back. Like I was just moving everywhere because like the same thing, like seeking something and thinking it's external. So that's interesting. It's very similar. I feel like when you wake up, it's like, what do I do now? It's like no one else can see what's happening, but you're like kind of going crazy inside, but everyone's just like, are you okay? I'm like, no. Do you not know? Like, the reptilians are like eating all of these things, like, or like there's government that's controlling our food is poison. I'm like, how are you okay? And, it's like whenever you find out all of this stuff, it's like, you're the crazy person. And I'm like walking around like scared to touch anything or like, my thoughts. Cause then you learn of the law of attraction and then you have like, so in the beginning, I was like, oh no, I can't think that. No, no, no. Cause I knew that it would like come to my reality. So I was like, I feel like I did go crazy for a little bit. But anyways.
I think that's what we do too. Because I remember, I think, Sarah, you and I have had this conversation before. When you first go through your awakening and you're finding out all the things, and when you go through the rapid one, it's like, for me, probably for you guys too, you're trying to figure out everything because it's all coming and things are popping up on your YouTube and books are appearing. And then all these experiences that you start having, like you were talking about, Daniel, you're starting to see things. You're starting to have these experiences. I started channeling and I had no idea that there were angels or guides or extraterrestrials. And it happens so rapidly that you can't even believe what's happening to you. And you just want to tell the people around you that are closest to you. You want to say, oh my God, did you know? And you do, you tell them these things. And then after you tell them too much, then they start kind of backing away from you and going, oh, something weird's going on there. But
yeah.
I definitely went through that. I think I almost felt like I wanted to go door to door because I live in a neighborhood where everybody knows each other. And I literally was like telling everyone until I realized you can't do that.
Right.
And so then I would have to go, okay, what am I supposed to do with all of this?
Yeah. Because I remember in the beginning too, I watched the movie The Matrix. Something like led me to watch that, and then I binged all three of them because obviously there was like some truth in that. And so after that, I wanted to go door to door and be like, "Do you know that we live in a matrix? But we could like get out of it, but we're being a little bit controlled, and it's all in our mind." And like, so definitely, I was like, I feel like if the Mormons can do it, I could be like, did you know that none of this is real?
Absolutely. Yeah, I had the same experience, but at the same time, my ayahuasca experiences come up so frequently still, even though 3 years later, that was an event that was over 3 years ago now. I still look back on the messages that I got, and they keep coming up like new angles and ways to integrate. And one of them was, I was chosen for this path because I was strong enough to carry the burden. And that phrase right there has like unfolded in so many things. Because when you realize all three of us here, that what we're sharing, that we're wanting to like share our experiences with people and they're not receiving it or they can't handle it. That's part of the burden that we're kind of meant to carry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Being opened up to so much so fast before most people in our circles is like, because we quickly learned that the people in our environment like weren't ready to hear it. They didn't want to hear it. It actually had the opposite effect at times. They would shut down, or they would recoil, go in the opposite direction. So like we're then burdened in a way of like holding on to this and figuring out, okay, now what do we do with it? So yeah, right
I
there
will
with
say
you.
that is one of the reasons when I was doing the hypnosis sessions, I heard that exact thing over and over and over again. I have no one to talk to. I have no one to share this. My family doesn't understand. My husband doesn't understand. My friends don't understand. And I feel all alone. I feel like I have no one where I can just share. And that was one of the original things with the Quantum Soul Portal is I wanted it to be a space where you could come in and you could bring your craziest things and feel safe to do that, to share it without being judged or ridiculed or told that you're wrong. Because we all are going through so much. We're expanding so quickly, and you come into this so rapidly, and then you get in your mind, am I crazy? Am I okay? Like, am I making this up? And that can cause a little bit of stress and struggle amongst people. So I love having a space where people can come and just say the craziest things, and even if it doesn't resonate with you, it's still a place where you can just share what you're going through, because we're all going through so many different things, trying to put the puzzle pieces together of what is actually going on in this world.
Absolutely. Yeah, the support has been huge. At the same time, I think all of us had to go through like rites of passage, the initiation of like, can you like handle the responsibility of all you've been opened up to? And yeah, it I only look back at my kind of isolation experiences like as a gift, as sharpening me, as like challenging as it was. It like forced me to go within and figure out my own answers because I wasn't getting it from anyone else. No validation. Forced me to get the validation within and go inward in so many ways, in so many challenging ways that I would never wish upon anyone else. But it just sharpened me to be so much more embodied now today and have so much more confidence, knowing that, okay, maybe I'm never going to get any validation from my external environment, but nothing can change what I've gone through. Like I might be the only being in this entire universe who believes what I believe, but like I know it so strongly because that's how visceral my experiences have been. So it's pros and cons. It sharpened us, forced us to step into our power in many ways. Mm-hmm. But in many ways now, like there is a huge value in just having that community. And especially we're moving into a higher frequency band where it's a more unified state of consciousness. So it's time to start coming together and share these experiences. So I feel like I'm able to kind of hold the balance now of like, oh, like that was really crazy intense. I would never want to do that ever again, but I see the value in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love that you said that your experiences are so visceral and so powerful to you, and you know them, and those are your truth. And I think that's what so many of us right now are being called into. I feel sort of similar in things that I'm experiencing, like the things that you know deep down inside, your intuition, what you're here for, what you're here to do, what you're here to bring forward into the world. And it may not line up or match with what other people are seeing or experiencing or doing, but you know it so deep within you because you're experiencing it. And it is literally learning to trust that over, anything else that's out there, and trust that you know what you're here to do, and you're going to bring it forward no matter what. So I love that you feel that too.
Absolutely.
You articulate some like all of these things that I feel like a lot of people, including myself, struggle to put words to. So I
Mhm.
very much am enjoying your point of view in the way that you put it because I'm like, this is so rich in the way that you explain it because it's like some of these experiences, like I said, I feel like are so parallel, but I'm like, oh, you put it, it's like poetry. I'm like, yes, it's like putting words that I never thought I could find on an experience. So I'm honest, I love the way that you're um, speaking about it or the way, because I kind of struggle with that. I'm good at writing, but talking is where I have somewhere there's like too many wires.
Thank you for that. I feel you there as well. I'm very much a mental person as well. But I think as a byproduct again of like having so much time just to sit with everything, that it's allowed me to kind of crystallize a lot of this stuff.
Mm,
And sometimes I've written it down, and then when I write it, then I can speak it as well, a bit more
yeah.
clearly. So I'm with you there. It's so much information that I'm pulling in on the spot typically has not been my strength of communication. But now that, again, just as a byproduct of all that I've experienced and now embody, it's becoming a bit more
Mm.
natural.
Yeah, and two, it just dawned on me because angels or the angelic realm are really known to be amazing messengers, and I
Mm.
think that you are embodying that beautifully.
Oh, thank you very much.
Mm.
Doing my
Yeah.
best.
Daniel's from the angelic realm. You've gotten some readings done. And were you surprised or did you know when you got that first reading that
With
you were
with you
angelic?
with you in it.
Yeah, yeah.
So I sort of knew it was already a knowing,
Mhm.
but in the level of context, I did not know it at that level. For example, in my ayahuasca experience, I was told I'm an angel, but none of that made any sense to me. Like all of that was new. I didn't,
You're like,
you
what?
know, yeah. What does that even mean? Like, does that mean I'm a nice person or something? I really had
Yeah.
no concept of it. But then over time, as more things started coming to my field, I started learning about different realms, angelic beings, and like the concept of incarnating. That's what we're doing here. I'm like a fractal of the infinite source, like inside of human body. And then I learned like, oh, angelic beings also do that. And that once I heard someone say that, like my body just got complete chills. And that's when I knew. It's like, oh, that's what that phrase meant that I received on ayahuasca, which that experience still just like sits with me so strongly because whoever, whatever combination of spirits, consciousnesses were orchestrating that knew like to foreshadow words that would resonate with me and that would allow me to kind of unfold and pick apart. It was almost like a treasure hunt in many ways, trying to piece all the messages that I was getting together. And then I also confirmed that in my quantum hypnosis session. That was one of the first questions I had. Like I was told I'm an angel, but I want to hear it like from me this time, from my own higher self, because I was getting messages on in an altered state of consciousness from a plant medicine, and I had a couple of breathwork experiences that year as well, where I was also encountering like other beings and stuff and getting messages. But in the quantum hypnosis state, that's when I knew like I want something from me, no other entity. And that's when I was confirmed, yes, your soul is from the angelic realms. I was like, okay, yes, now I get that. But in the messages session, it wasn't until that session I was fully understanding like I guess how angelic my soul is. Like I hadn't had a lot of incarnation experiences, and that's when I was really opened up to like really what that means. And it's still unfolding. I'm still learning new things all the time. I'm still awakening like the rest of us. But so yeah, that messages session was really profound for me. I still kind of go back and play messages from that in my mind.
Mm. It is funny when they first start, when you first hear that you are an angel and you're like, yeah, that's really sweet. I'm nice. They're like, no, you are an angel. I went through that with the Pleiadians because, well, the angels were the first ones that came in for me because I think it was, I don't think the star beings could have come in. I would have been like, I'm sorry. This is ridiculous. No, thank you. But the angels were like, well, we'll come in first and we'll, build you up. And then the Pleiadians come in and it's like Pleiadian everywhere. And you're a Pleiadian. And I'm like, no, no. But then you start going to those sessions
Yeah.
and they keep telling you over and over, over and over, over and over. And then at some point you have to go, okay, now what does this mean? Like it's such a crazy journey to wake up and then you start trying to share that. Now, did you share with anybody, hey, I'm an angel? Or did you keep that to yourself?
for a while, I didn't really tell many people. And then I started meeting other people on the path, other awakened people who've been going through similar things. I would always kind of plant a seed first to kind of feel it out,
just to see.
see if they're on the same wavelength. And more people as I've been progressing in my life and encountering other people who are also awakened starseeds like us, then yeah, that's when I'll share. It wasn't until the first time that I put it on blast in public. I put it on social media on my Instagram account a few months ago. That was the first time I was like, it's time to just put it out there. Like, this is actually, I think, part of my mission. All of us, like, we're here to be in our authentic selves, not hide. Just so, like, just put it out there. And who knows what the response has been? You know, people, you never know how it's, you know, sitting with people who have never been exposed to something of that sort. But I feel like that's just, you know, I'm not here to hide anymore. So I just felt like, let's just put it out there, and other people can respond how they wish. If they don't like it, you know, it's kind of on them. But I'm living my truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All I can do.
You need, well, you don't need it, but I just thought about it. It's like how I, played around with Coming Out Galactic podcast. You need a Coming Out Angelic.
Good one.
I love that.
Yeah.
It is it's a wild, I don't know, it's a wild journey, but to me that has been the most fun part of this. I have always been so drawn to the angelic realm and the galactic star beings, and I've had such just a draw with being that bridge and helping people to connect from their human to their star guides, and then learning about that. I remember in hypnosis sessions, anytime we would go into like the regular past lives, they're fine to explore, but when we would go into like a galactic or an angelic realm, I was just like all in. I loved exploring that. I loved learning more about that, and I just think it's so fun, that we get to sort of go through this awakening and realize we're so much more than we believe ourselves to be. And you just want to almost scream it from the rooftops, like, wake up, people, you're not just human and you have this magic inside of you. You might have to go through some really tough times first to get down to that magic, but it's there. And it's just sometimes you're like, oh, you're screaming on deaf ears right now.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah, it's still a little, I think I'm starting to approach the level where it's getting a little bit more fun. Like, oh, like what else is there? Like curiosity, expanding through curiosity and play. Or like, oh, this is a really interesting thing I just learned about myself, as opposed to just being like, having something like thrust upon you. Like, yeah, you've got a demon in your room who's actually a split part of your soul that you need to integrate right now. And it seems like it's trying to kill you. So like that part, I'm glad I'm kind of done with that.
Did that happen? Did
absolutely.
that happen?
I remember you talking about it.
I think I do too. Do you want to share maybe a little bit? Is this made for television?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I put a reel out on Instagram and YouTube about this.
Yeah.
This is one of the types of things that I feel is actually beneficial to put out there, just in case other people have been having some experiences. And I recall at least one person comment on my reel about this, that they had been going through something similar, and me sharing about it did help them. So I will share my real deep dark night of the soul period after my ayahuasca trigger event. And it actually just wasn't one specific event, but the one really terrifying one was very shortly after that trigger event. I started, over a period of a couple weeks, started noticing there was like an entity like engaging with my body while I was sleeping a couple times. One time I had that sleep paralysis experience, which I'm sure a lot of people have experienced. It feels like somebody's like sitting on your chest, like almost like you're choking, suffocating. I had that experience once, but I also, before that happened, I heard like someone laughing in my home and like playing music. So I was like, I think there was like a being here. So that was the first one. Thought it was a little weird, but at the same time, I was having a lot of like really meaningful dreams like after that happened. So that night, and around that phase, had been doing a lot of dream interpretation work, where I was getting a lot of symbolism about my life and how things were playing out like in my dreams. So I got a really like meaningful dream that same night. So I was like, nothing too concerning. Then a couple of weeks later, I again felt something like literally like pick up my body while I was in the dream state and like take me somewhere else. It was like in the moment I was really scared, but I thought to my mind, like, wait, no, let me like stay with this experience because I feel like something important is going to happen. And again, it's has really profound, meaningful dream. That was like the perfect symbolism that I needed to close out a therapeutic relationship with someone who I was working with at the time, which I had already started realizing, like, I think I'm done with this part because like I had been cracked open from this ayahuasca experience. Like, oh, I don't think I need any kind of therapeutic help anymore. And I got the exact symbolic dream that it was time to move away from that. But then just like a few days later, I had the most like terrifying experience. Again, something I was in a dream and I felt an entity touch my genitals, like totally, like completely freaked out. Like, what is happening here? Like in my sleep, I was like, no, get off me. And then again, I could feel it grabbing my arm, like trying to pull at me. And that's when I just like woke myself up. And that's when my real dark night of soul really kicked into gear because I was like, what happened? Did I bring home a demon or something? Mm-hmm. And for the next month, I had really terrifying experiences while I was sleeping. Sometimes just having these like slideshows of just really like violent imagery. One time I even saw what looked almost like a demon, just these huge eyes like come straight at me and just like look at me. And it looked like it was like stabbing me. So I was like completely terrified to even like go to sleep. And I thought I was just convinced there's a demon in my home, like going to devour me into another realm and just erase me from this existence. Really thought like, I don't know, like this might be it. This entity is going to erase me from this realm. It wasn't until as I was going down the rabbit holes of like learning about consciousness and stuff, I stumbled upon someone's explanation because I think I was in like a Telegram chat and someone was kind of explaining something similar. They were having entity issues. And someone said, like, just remember, this is just you. Like, we're all a fractal of the one. So this entity that might be terrorizing you, it's just you. So like once I made that internal shift, it went away.
Wow.
And I never had that level of terror again. But I've had two other similar experiences where something came into my field. It was definitely like an entity engaged my body. And it wasn't through until this second one that happened like 2 years later that I was confronted with another entity while I was sleeping. It felt like it tranquilized me while I was sleeping. And I could tell there was like something in the room or something while I was sleeping. And I just like immediately felt like overcome with a lot of intense, heavy energy. So I decided like, I think I should wake myself up. I don't know if something scary is about to happen, but I started just playing some thoughts in my mind. And this one woman who I used to follow pretty closely online was mentioning that a lot of people think they're being psychically attacked. In reality, it's actually their own shadow parts coming home. And that thought came into my mind as I was having this other experience. And once I made that thought, that connection, I realized I started like having a vision and I saw my own shadow aspect of me like appear in front of me just through my mind's eye. And I instantly knew that there was a part of me that I had banished from myself and it was coming home. And it was incredibly intense. I was just like, I didn't even know how to make sense of it, but it was just this internal knowing that I had banished an aspect of my soul for who knows how long, eons. And I was just overcome with such intense sadness, grief, and just like, I like apologized to it, even though I had no clue like how to make sense of it at the time. And that it was once I had that experience that I realized like, oh, I think the first one that was terrorizing me might have been something similar. And I had another one a few months ago, sort of similar as well. But at this point, I realized like once I had those first two experiences, I realized, oh, these are parts of me. Once I had the third one, I was like no longer scared. I was actually welcoming it back home because I realized, oh, this is just more of me. I'm going to be more whole now. So yes, like, please come home. So it was a long kind of drawn out process of these like shadow aspects of me coming home that started out really scary and then really confrontational. And then almost the opposite, like excited, like, yes, please come home. Because now I'm more full and whole. And now I have all these aspects of me who are now contributing to my overall, abilities, personality, temperament, and all of that in their own unique traits. And then I finally got the full story once I had a channeling session with a friend of mine. I asked about this. Like, I've had quite a few experiences of entities, what seem like shadow aspects coming home to me in my sleep. Can you explain what that was? And then I learned that on a soul level, my higher self actually decided and chose to splinter itself to explore light and dark. And for whatever reason, in this lifetime, I chose to have them come back so I could have the knowing, like in actual visceral experience of what it's like to, I guess, be separated and also to come back in wholeness and to be able to truly understand the dark from first person experience and know that there is an alternative, and to also have compassion for those who are still mired in that darkness, because I've been it myself. And now that I'm whole, like, I can truly empathize and understand that those who are on the dark path are still me as well. So it was all part of an orchestrated from my higher self and spirit team and all of that. But going through it was absolutely terrifying. So if anyone's listening, if they're going through anything of the sort, I invite anyone to just ask the question, like, could this just be me, a shadow aspect that's trying to come home, get your attention? And unfortunately, it might feel that that's the only way it can get your attention, is by perhaps terrorizing you or causing a lot of conflict in your life or breaking things or something of the sort that's just seeming like your life might be falling apart. It could just be you.
That's so beautiful.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I feel like the whole
story.
Yeah, I feel like the theme of this lifetime is coming home. And in recognizing that you're all both shadow and light, and welcoming and just having that, I feel like that's this oneness consciousness, and understanding that deeply, you're not afraid. You know what I mean? Then that's how you live without fear, because you understand the wholeness of it all. And yeah, so allowing yourself to be open, of bringing yourself back into this wholeness, good, bad, and ugly, because I mean, that's what this universe is about, experiencing all of it. That is the wholeness, all of it, of all of it. So that's lovely.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I think it's oh, go ahead.
I was going to add that another reason why I think like this has also served me is after my ayahuasca experience, I actually experienced death in my ayahuasca experience, my main trigger event, awakening ceremony. I literally had an experience where there was like an entity there. And it was basically telling me, hey, it's time to die. And I blacked out. My first thought was, I just died. And I realized that that's kind of like, it was a rite of passage moment. Like, I needed to experience death. Like, a lot of cultures have that as part of like their rituals or ceremonies as coming of age. They actually won't trust you unless you've experienced death. So I realized like that was my own experience with death. So ever since then, I wasn't really scared of death, but what I realized I was still afraid of the darkness. So by me going through a lot of these, so in theory, you would think that death is like the scariest thing, but it actually got way scarier after that, because I was confronted with all of this darkness. Because in my mind, that was way scarier than actually just, becoming nothing and ending your life, because then it's just nothing. But there's actually worse things than death, is what I learned throughout going through that process of just like full frontal assault, darkness and heaviness and scary and terror. So by me going through that, now I have another layer of just like fear that's been pulled out, because I've experienced it so viscerally that there's like nothing left to be afraid of, in a way.
Yeah, I feel like if there is like the highest rank fear for the collective is death, but that's inevitable. So literally people live in that fear because they know that that's something that's going to happen. But I feel like, so whenever you were saying that, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. But I wonder if it's, not a death experience, but a death of the illusion that death is real. Because ultimately, I think once we release that, that's freedom. Because then it's like, oh, but then a freedom to then see darkness or what true darkness or shadow is. It's not death. It's all the things that we have banished or judged throughout all these lifetimes. And that is true separation. It's not death. Death isn't separation. That's something I think that brought you back. That's what kind of like sent out the signal for all of those aspects to come back home. You know what I mean? So that's profound.
That's important work too, bringing those aspects back, because we have a lot of aspects that have been fragmented or splintered or lost. And I love the way that you see that, that once you saw them in a different way, they transformed, they changed, you recognize them. When you're doing the entity release work in hypnosis sessions, that's one of the ways that we try to work with entities when we come across them, is helping them to remember their light. So many are just lost from light. And it's interesting that you say that. Now that's got me thinking how many of those entities that were released were actually shadow aspects of the person. So that's put something in my mind now, moving forward, doing that work. But it really it could be an aspect of them that is just, because you have created thought forms that you can create all on your own that become, you think something so much, you tell yourself something so much, it becomes it becomes its own entity within you. And until you're able to recognize that and sort of release that energy, you hold that belief system so strongly, you truly believe this is who I am, this is how I am. But really, you've just created that for yourself, and it's just almost ingrained in you as its own life-giving entity, or its own entity that's feeding you constantly, telling you that, reminding you, yeah, that's who you are. But when you pour light into it, or when you see its light, or when you show it its light, then it almost transforms back into what it really, its true form, its true nature.
Yeah. It's
Absolutely.
like those aspects, I guess, of self could be from emotions of which the main one that comes up is like judgment on either something that you did or something that you thought you should have done, or you just placed a judgment on something. And at lifetime after lifetime, we may not have the understanding that we still carry that with us, which we've all learned in this lifetime that we still carry emotions from past lifetimes. So how many lifetimes has that one deep shadow emotion grew and then kind of then created patterns or loops, that then validate just that. And then of course, yeah, if you feed it, then it will turn into an entity, and one that is strong enough to, poke at you and all that kind of stuff. But then in the moment where you're like, oh, that's me. And then you hold this very deep sense of self-love, compassion, and forgiveness for all of it. Well, then it doesn't have power anymore. Then it just melts and then comes mist back into
The light.
back into your light. So yeah, I love
I
that.
think the power perhaps shifts. It still has power, or at least me sharing my own experiences. The one where I was really confronted and I realized, oh, this was a part that I banished. For whatever reason, I've now visualized that as like my dark side, the one aspect of me that has fully encapsulated my path down the dark, that my soul perhaps splintered off and chose to go back. But now that it's come home and I've consciously welcomed it back, integrated, I now see it in some shadow mental journeys, hypnosis things that I go through, and it's there with me as like a protector part, and it's now like guiding me in different ways from the more just the pure neutral shadow part, just the pure polarity, nothing like dark negative, but just from that shadow perspective. And now it still has the power, and ironically, or maybe not ironically, but coincidentally, now I'm now more powerful because I now can wield both aspects, or all of the aspects, to now leverage all of their gifts, abilities, to now be able to hold all of them to be an even stronger beacon of light in all aspects.
Because I mean, there isn't light without the shadow. And I think that's the biggest disconnect for everyone is like, you just want to be love and light.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, there's going to be a shadow part that's going to haunt you because you're not looking at it or not willing to incorporate it into your wholeness. And it's the only thing is that yes, it is power because it's a part of the whole. But when you give it power as like it's like whenever you give away your power is when it then seems to overshadow you. But it is a dance. And I think that that's a beautiful thing that you have reminded us all. It's like it's not something that we are to dismiss or banish. It's something to love and recognize as the whole piece that we are, especially well, I think the only tricky part is within this realm where they try to separate good and evil, black and white, good and bad, all the things of to try to validate the polarity, which is just a splitting, a separation. But I think that's what we're doing is recognizing like, no, this is something to dance with. Like it doesn't have to be this or that or only that. It is how can we take both pieces and like, well, it's out like alchemizing all of it and using it to create, you know, a balance,
Absolutely.
harmony.
That's exactly it, the
Yeah,
balance. I feel finding the balance within is so important because we do have all of those aspects.
Mm.
But they're all very important. And I think so many people forget that even in other lifetimes, we've been all things. We've been the light filled, wonderful person that helps lift you up. And we've also played some dark, heavy roles because we need to understand that. When you understand those dark paths, you can hold more compassion for other people. Like you said, you hold compassion for those who are going through it. And also, if it can help us to take away judgment, because we're so quick to judge each other on, we hold our own beliefs and our whole on, the way that we see the world and see things through our own lens. When you can recognize that we've all been all things, let go of the judgment. Just know that everyone's on their path and going through their own thing, and let them be that.
absolutely.
That
Yeah.
that's the whole point is
Mm.
to um, being in the truth is not going to always be, but it's like honoring everybody else's, and that's what makes it like a co-creative. It doesn't mean you have to like do as they do or believe what they believe, but
Mm.
it's all just honoring and respecting each other's journey.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And I think for me, at least, going through all of these experiences and recognizing my own shadow aspects ripples outwardly to the collective because I'm no longer in resistance as much to these dark forces. And like the knot, at least between me and these darker entities, has been unwound. And as that, then I'm able to be at peace and hold a higher vibration, which then my vibration then trickles outward, just natural frequency transmission, and it starts impacting other people in the same way. Like, oh, and just over time, the same processes might be allowed to go through for other people as well.
Mm.
I feel like that's such a powerful journey you went on with the entities. I think it's quite amazing. I had similar experiences, different, but a lot of things in my environment in at younger ages that I wasn't able to quite understand that I could see, and it's really scary going through that and not understanding quite what's happening. It makes you realize how multidimensional our world is. We look at it as just this physical, just what we can see, touch, taste, smell, but it is so layered and there's so many experiences. And I know so many are having those types of experiences. So I'm so glad you shared. Um, there's so much. There's so much to our
Yeah,
reality. It really is. And it's almost like sometimes you just want to help people to understand the magnitude of what this reality really is. We see a teeny tiny fraction of it. But then when you start to expand, all of these experiences start to come in. They're quite amazing, quite mind blowing. So I love how you handled that. Though you took something and you transmuted it, something dark, and transmuted it back into the light.
absolutely. Kind of didn't really have a choice
Right?
other than what my
Do we
higher self
ever?
chose for me. Yeah, exactly.
Do we
There's one,
ever?
yeah, there's one thought that was just kind of coming through that even at the time when I was going through it and I was kind of able to unwind that really intense darkness, I kind of just want to say it because it sounds really cool. But at the time when I was really being uh, invaded or whatever, attacked, terrorized by this shadow aspect of me and that really dark night of the soul period, once I realized I was recalling that message I got on ayahuasca that I was an angel. I still didn't know what that meant, but I had this thought: if I'm an angel, I'm also a demon, and that thought process is what really allowed that entity to kind of settle down and leave me. And it wasn't until a couple years later that once I learned about that, when I had that really confronting aspect come to me, where that at that point I knew who it was or that it was part of me, I decided to go back and revisit that first one. And what I was tuning into that is that just by me acknowledging that it existed, gave it permission, it felt safe enough to stop terrorizing me.
Mm.
So even just doing the internal shift, I didn't even need to talk to it or even know that it was a real thing, but just like sitting with the fact that, yeah, I have darkness within me, like gave it permission, that it was almost seen through my own choice. Even though I didn't like know how to encapsulate or know exactly how to describe it, who it was, what it was, just by me making that internal shift that, yeah, I have darkness within me, made it feel safe.
Yeah, it like releases the fear of it.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe that's the whole thing that we're having to go through. That's why we get all these things is it's not to like taunt, though that's what it feels, but it's really just like pushing us in our sovereignty, in our power to not hold fear over it, to stand up in our full self. So there's so many different ways that people are going through that. That's for sure. And that's another reason why you can't judge anyone going through it because we all hold different fears from different points of view or perspective. And so our life is going to reflect those things that put us in those deepest state of fears for us to release. So it may look odd to you, but it's my fear that I'm having to let go of, but it's going to come at me personally or it feels personal, or specifically, it's going to be different from you because maybe you don't hold that fear, but there's a specific layer or tone of fear that I hold within me. So it has to be presented to me in a way that people are going to be like, oh, you need to do it this way or do it that way. But it's releasing something specific in each of us. So it's like another thing of, I feel like we're all here being confronted with things that put us in the highest state of fear. And what are we going to do with that? Are we
Mm.
going to let the fear win? Or are we going to rise and say, you don't have this hold over me? But I think that's ultimately what we're all doing is conquering our own fears.
Yes.
And so all of our realities or the things that come into our realities are going to seem similar, but are going to be vastly different just because of the frequency that we hold in a like either resistance sense.
Mm.
Did my computer blip out?
You blipped for like a fraction of a second. I thought, oh, she froze. But that's okay. You're doing
Yeah.
good this time. You stayed with us the
Wow.
whole time.
Well, good. I feel like I don't know why. Maybe it's just because where I'm located. Because when I'm in like the room part of it, my internet does well. So maybe I just need to start doing in there. Because here I'm a little more far away from the router. But
Mm-hmm.
anyways, that's a whole side note.
Well,
Um,
piggybacking off what you said, I feel like, from my understanding, the consciousness that we're moving into, 5D, whatever you want to call it, my understanding is that fear like can't even exist in that frequency. So the only way for us to be in alignment to it is to face and eliminate
yeah.
all of our
Yep.
fears.
Yes. And I feel like right now that's
And I
coming
think that we
up.
have,
Oh,
yeah.
did
No,
you?
go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say right now, I think in Sarah, you mentioned this, it's coming up for everybody to face in so many ways because there's so much happening in the world right now. But I know individually, I think we really are being faced with the next level of are you going to overcome this fear? I know I am personally moving through some of that myself. Are you going to overcome what you're afraid of and rise up and speak your truth and be who you came here to be and move forward on your path? Or do you crumble under the weight of what's happening? And I know this is across the board. I think so many people are being faced with so many different challenges and they're happening. You think sometimes it's like, why is this happening to me? But it's not happening to you, it's happening for you. And it's happening to help you grow. And even though you can't see it when you're in the middle of it, or it feels uncomfortable, it feels heavy, it feels like, oh my God, when is this going to end? But it really is aligning you with a higher timeline, a higher path, and getting you to that place where you're not holding that fear anymore and you can align with the higher dimensions and hold more of that higher dimensional energy. Because the more of us that are able to do that are on this path right now, we're able to sort of pull, gently others up with us because now we're holding and anchoring that level of frequency. um, come on, let's go. Come on, we're going to hold the door open. Joe in the portal's got the door open for all of us. We're going to go through the door and get to the other side. Like, we're not getting to the other side, but you know what I mean? We're going to get to where we're all sort of that trajectory. But it does. I remember my guides, because I would ask when I first went through my awakening, why does it have to be so rough? Why do we have to go through so much of a breakdown and a loss and, the whole thing just falling apart? And it's hard. And they just said, it's almost like you have to be shaken. They said that from very early on. And I know in New Earth Mastery sessions, they would say, remember, Heather, we told you had to be shaken. And I'm like, yeah, but you have to have almost like that fear shaken out of you. And if you're not able to see it, if you're not having these experiences like the demons that were your shadow aspects coming in and the different experiences, you just stay comfortable. You don't grow, you don't expand, you don't do your inner work. So in order to get you onto that path, they have to shake you a little bit. Your soul has to shake you and say, you're going this way. It's intense. But it has
I
to
feel
be
like
done.
the world right now is reflecting a lot of collective fear.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening. That's, I think, like the mass awakening. But I mean, there's some that I recognize that are still like, wanting to blame either, well, just use politics, for example, blame the Republicans. No, we're going to blame the Democrats. No, we're going to blame. It's like the world is going to continue. And right now, I feel like both sides. I think we're learning both sides. Well, I mean, most people now, I
The
think that
whole
we all
thing
knew
is
that
a
it's like
mess.
the same, it's like two separate wings of the same bird. But like, it's like the same people control everything. But I think everyone is starting to finally realize um, there's no one to blame except for, well, not just one side to blame, but I think more than anything, people are looking around now. Who do I blame? Who do I blame? When I think what we all need to do is be like, what is this trying to show me? If we all just had that question when shit is hitting the fan, what is this trying to reveal to me? I feel like one, it doesn't eliminate the process that it takes to remove that from the patterning within your programming, but it will soften the blow. I feel like because you won't take it so personal, you'll realize that it's a progression rather than something that is trying to do you or trying to tear your world apart. Then you recognize that it's just a personality and an identity that you've been desperately hanging on to that isn't your truth. So ultimately, I feel like right now, just what we see in the world is a sure sign that the world is saying, shake up, wake up, shake up, wake up. We're all going. And if you don't realize that the more that you try to pin something on someone else and go internally, then, well, it's going to be a rough ride. But
Absolutely.
yeah.
External world is just a reflection of our internal world. So I think you're spot on. We're kind of seeing it, that it's just, again, showing people's blind spots where they're giving their power away.
Yeah.
A good metaphor I like is there is war in the world because there is war within ourselves. If we're looking to the political sphere here in America, we've got left and right, Republican, Democrat. Like, that is a reflection of our internal state. We've separated ourselves between left and right in our head and our heart. We're not unified, so our systems are not unified. So I think it's getting louder in that to force people to like, okay, no matter what we do, there's not going to be unity in the external until there's unity within. So I see it as a great thing because I understand the bigger picture, but
right. And it has to happen. If we want to get what we desire to get to, this has to happen. People have to see and understand that it all trickles up where it looks like there's so many different factors in the chaos, but ultimately it's this one power that is trying to control and separate, control and divide. But why? That is the Antichrist, because right now everyone's like, oh, AI is the Antichrist, or oh, so and so is the Antichrist, or this person's the Antichrist. I'm like, no, the Antichrist is anything opposite of unity. So anything that tries to divide and conquer is the Antichrist. It's like a consciousness, just like, oh, this is my opinion. I haven't, this is literally my perspective. Don't, whatever. But I feel like when you think about Antichrist, because Christ is this unified consciousness, it's not one person that died 200,000, wait, however long ago. I mean, whatever, but it's this consciousness that's alive within all of us. Anti that is separation.
Mm-hmm.
It's not one person. It's not one thing. It's a state of being within your mind that just is, that you are not whole, that you are separated. And I could go on for that forever because I'm like, oh my gosh, stop looking for one person. If anything, it is you looking for a person that is going to be the bad guy. There's no such thing.
And then a savior, and no one's coming to save us except for us.
It's you and your belief. Yeah.
It's changing. It is changing the internal. That's really what it is. It's changing what we believe inside. We've been so programmed and so inundated with all the things, and it's so deeply ingrained in us. But really, it all goes back to the shift that you make within yourself, your internal world, what you believe, and letting go of that, and then your reality starts to shift with that.
Yeah. I want to also say this to add to my spiel I just went on, is the Antichrist can show up in people, places, and things. But it's going to be, I think, different for each person, because either you're going to see them as what they're doing, their game, their role they're playing, be like, oh, but recognize their wholeness or their specific role in this game. And it doesn't create separation. It's just understanding that there's got to be characters of all kinds. So if you're able to look at something being like, oh, that's just a role they're playing, it's not who they are, you're still connecting in that. I feel like that Christ consciousness is understanding the game as a whole. But if you're looking to someone to be a bad guy, then you are in that Antichrist consciousness thinking that it's someone's fault for all of this, when it is all divinely orchestrated for you to just recognize more of you.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's this like interesting desire, I think, that again is a reflection of our own separateness, to like pin the bad guy like on one being, like this Antichrist is like one person, because therefore, like you were saying, Heather, then like the savior can be one person, but like it's all separation.
Yeah.
All of that is the opposite of just like one unified field consciousness.
Yeah.
So like I think it's this subconscious desire to not want to go into the unified field. If I can maintain that the Antichrist is one being, like that can allow me to not have to face the internal stuff of being part of this whole. Because if I'm part of it, then that means I'm the Antichrist as well.
Yep.
And no one wants to face that.
No.
Right. And like it's not like the Antichrist or Christ is making like this grand appearance as, Jesus and someone else who's the opposite. It's a consciousness that's been here this whole time, but it's just more revealed. I feel like we're in the most revealing time, that it's been here this whole time, but now people can just see it.
100%.
Well said.
Yeah. Man.
And this is how you solve the world. No.
if only people would listen to us. Just kidding. Just that's a joke. That's a joke.
Absolutely.
Obviously take what resonates, let it flow through your heart, and then live your life with it. It's not that we have the ultimate truth. We have our truth. And that's all that I can offer you, in hopes that you find your own.
Yeah. I think one day, I think we're moving there. I think we're just in this really turbulent period right now. And it's going to, it's going to shift us. It has to. There's no other path to go down. Well, there may be, but
shift or die. Just kidding.
Shift or pick a different timeline. Like, which timeline are you going on? I think it's exciting. It's chaotic out there, but it's really exciting, and it's just one of those things where we're just going to have to see how it unfolds. But grateful for these types of conversations where we can just share things that we've been through, and just help others, because I know there so many things have been touched on in this that I know so many are experiencing in a variety of different levels and layers. And if you can just know that even in the darkest depths of what you're, experiencing, a lot of times it is for your greatest and highest good. If you can just try to find the positive aspects, which are not always easy. But I loved, listening to the angel messages, because the angels can spin a negative into a positive like nobody's business. And you could bring, I remember so many times bringing really dark, like, what is happening with that? Like, why is this allowed? Because we look at it as a human and go, this is crazy. And those sweet angels would come in, and they just have the most, they're like, we don't judge. We understand that there's a reason why this is happening, and we can see it from the higher level, which that would be awesome if we could all have that skill. But there always is a higher perspective of why these things are unfolding. And if you can just hold that in your heart and allow yourself and others to move through that, it really does take you off into the next level, the next part of your journey that unfolds. And hopefully that one will not be so rough.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think the one simple kind of higher perspective that is like pretty ubiquitous that perhaps the angels would reiterate is that, unfortunately, like you're saying, people need to be shaken awake.
Yeah.
There's a quote I've heard that sometimes you cannot tell people the truth. You must show them.
Yes.
They must experience it in real time for them to truly like get it.
Yep.
So that's why a lot of people might be wondering, like, well, why is this still happening? They would not have known that they need to make a change unless it directly impacted them and they saw it with their own two eyes in real time.
Oh, that's 100%. I remember getting that, because when my world fell apart in my initial awakening, I was happy. I was like, everything was fine. There was nothing in my reality that I was like, oh, this is not good. And then all of a sudden, everything went to hell in a handbasket. And everything. And I'm going, what is happening here? I really thought I'd pissed somebody in the universe off. And I was like, is somebody about to smite me? Like, what's happening here? But I realized it's like, and finally when I started channeling and I was getting all of these profound messages, and they were able to finally break through and communicate, it was like, when you're comfortable, you don't make changes. You're comfortable. Why would you? Why would you have started seeking anything? Why would you have started to meditate? If you're not meditating, you're not raising your frequency and vibration. You can't channel. You're not connecting to us. We can't come in. They showed me this whole, how everything had to happen, this domino effect, to get to where I was. And I'm like, okay, fine. But God, could it just be a little gentler?
Right.
But it does it, but it moves you into a new space, because you start questioning, why is this happening to me? What is going on? Why is it not happening to anybody else? And you start seeking deeper and deeper answers, and then going within, which is how we wake up, how we shift.
Yeah.
I wonder if this is a byproduct of the human DNA, the human condition, or a byproduct of the density of our realm, or a little bit of both, where humans just don't like to change.
Yeah.
And only at the precipice do people find that will to change.
It's fear. I think it's fear. I think we're afraid of changing. And that is, I've asked this question so many times. It's so frustrating to me as a hypnosis practitioner, when you work with so many different people and you see so many different issues. You go, why are we like this? Seriously, because of all of the things that can happen to the human experience that you're not even aware of. So many things are connected to not even lifetimes that we're living right now. You are so deeply connected in so many levels and layers to past life experiences, all sorts of things that people don't even have a clue are affecting them in their now. Then you couple that with the entities and the attachments. Then you couple that with all the emotional baggage and trauma that we're storing that we're never taught that that's a thing. The list goes on and on and on. And then the, manipulation of our environment and your DNA. And it's like, why are we like this? And who came up with this design? And I think they need to go back to the drawing board and maybe figure out a better way, because this is intense and tough.
And then
it's like afterwards, though, it's like, I did that. The only thing is, like,
Right.
afterwards, you're so grateful for it because you see things that you wouldn't have seen
Yeah.
otherwise.
Right.
And I do think that it allows you to hold more compassion,
Yes.
which that is another thing in going into fifth dimensional space is having an open heart, which means being able to love everyone where they're at. And I think that sometimes we got to go through that crap in order to be able to hold like the angelics. I feel like that's what they are because they're just nothing but heart. I feel like because they just have this just immense um, compassion
Mm.
and able to delicately, you know what I mean? It's not like the Arcturians are just like, well, get out of your pity party and stand up and remember who you are. Damn it. Like, what's your problem? Do you not know who you are? But then the angels are like, we know it's difficult. We know that the walk is this. I'm not making fun of the either one of them, but that's just, the tone that we get to that we, I guess, experience their frequency through. And it's like the angels are just have so much empathy, but without, but teaching us empathy without attachment, which I think is huge. A lesson that we all could, I think that a lot of us learn deep empaths like a blessing and a curse because we've learned because of wounding to attach to other people's you know what I mean? Like whenever you go into a space, you feel deeply, but then you take it on as your own. You feel responsible for it, and then you have to navigate your life based on what the other. I'm speaking because I do that, where I'll like feel I'm like, oh, okay, well, I have to say this way, or I'm going to hurt their feelings. But I think it's learn a difficult thing that I'm still learning is how to hold empathy and compassion without taking on other people's emotions during it, if that makes sense. I don't know how I got off on that,
Mm.
but I think the angels are really helping me understand how to do that, seeing from the bigger picture and also honoring their growth and whatnot, the other people around me. Um, but anyways, but yeah,
I loved listening to the angels. And it was so funny because when we were doing the either the messages sessions or the New Earth Mastery sessions in the portal, um, it's almost like I could just visualize here comes the Pleiadians or the Arcturians with their take on something, and the angels are over there going, mm-mm-mm. Like just shaking their finger, like, no, 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 you need to bring it down. Because that would happen sometimes, even in messages sessions where the client would be getting kind of a little talking to, which is needed. Sometimes you need to hear the harder truth. But then it was so funny because the next question, the angels would take over.
yeah, be like, we're gonna come in.
It was so funny. And I would just laugh and I would say, here come the angels to kind of smooth it down.
They're like the
Add some sugar.
mediators.
They were. And I
Yeah.
could tell, I feel like they really had control of all of them. Like the Pleiadians felt like they were the ones orchestrating, but I think the angels were in charge of it all.
But
Make them
it's so
think that they're the
beautifully.
ones doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's the angels though, is like they'll be like, okay, like it, if they are really the ones in charge, but they're not going to be like upfront about it, or you know what I mean? It's like because they're just so I don't have words for it. Humble but powerful,
Gracious, just
so powerful.
yeah.
So it's like don't mistake their kindness for weakness because
Oh no.
angels are who they can get it done.
Mhm.
Um, and help in all scenarios. So that's the thing. We all need to tap into our inner angelic right now, where it's like gentle yet powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to remind myself that all the time. And technically, I'm one of them. So it's
Technically,
Yeah.
I'm one of them.
easier said than done.
Yeah. Yeah.
What an adventure we're all on.
Yeah. We need to end these things like with like those rainbows. It's like it used to be on a commercial, I think. There was like the more you know.
The more you know. I love it. Well, this has been an absolutely incredible discussion. Daniel, thank you so much for being with us. Now, where can people find you? And talk a little bit because we didn't get into this. Our discussion was so good today, but you make some amazing music and you've been sharing that in the portal. And I absolutely love it. I'm vibing. I'm vibing with it. I turn it on. I'm like listening when I'm working or cleaning or whatever, just hanging out. Where can people find you? Where can people find your music? And you can share a little bit about what that music is.
Sure. Well, I've got a presence on pretty much every social media platform, so I'd be happy to send you the links and you can post those in the
Yes, I will
description.
do. Absolutely.
And the music is primarily being listed on SoundCloud. So that is the platform where I'm posting my mixes if anyone wishes to listen to them. But primarily what I'm being called to do is to perform in person publicly, which I have done so a few times already and will be continuing to do so. But to highlight generally what I'm doing is I'm crafting sound journeys through DJing for specifically ecstatic dance experiences, which if you're unfamiliar with that, it is a practice with the intention of getting out of your head and into your body and allowing your body to just go move how it wants to move. Allow yourself to express how just when you're out of your mind, just full expression, however that looks. A lot of people think it might need to look a certain way. Like if you've been to an ecstatic dance, that there has to be a certain type of music or you have to move your body in a certain way. The way I approach it is just full, pure, authentic expression, which might mean complete stillness or moving around like an animal or just jumping up and down and embracing your inner child, however that looks. So typically I'm crafting journeys that might be from an hour to 2 hours with the intention that this is almost like a ceremony, perhaps like meditative shadow work, something of the sort, or even a plant medicine. But this time your body is the medicine. You are the medicine for this. Ideally, there's no substances involved. And you can see, and I've had my own experiences with it as well, where just by you moving your body and just getting really in tune with yourself, allowing music to take you on a journey where you don't have to think, where am I going? The music itself is curated to take you on a journey and just to see, what happens, like what sort of state could you encounter and reach for yourself just through the music and the movement of your body. And I've had really profound experiences with it. A lot of healing can be allowed in those types of experiences, and you learn more about yourself. You learn even sometimes just the super smallest things, like I didn't know I could move my body this way, or I realized I've never paid attention to the front left shin that I have, and I realized it wants to move right now because this journey is so cohesive, and especially when you're in person with a conscious group of people, the energy gets amplified like any live music event. I'm sure anyone can attest that when you're in person at a concert or a festival, the energy gets amplified, and when you're in those types of environments, a lot of magic can happen. So that is generally what I'm curating for people, and I have lots of desires and dreams to expand that into really profound experiences for people. So if anyone is curious, I have been posting my sound recordings on SoundCloud. A lot of varying intentions. There can be just kind of an open-ended journey of ecstatic dance, which the primary journey that I've learned is what I call, or what I've learned is called the 5 elements ecstatic dance. So there's always like an embedded journey through the 5 elements of ether, air, earth, fire, and water, which that alone just takes you through this nice journey and a nice arc of all the different, basically energetic templates. So just within any journey that you are going to have an experience, but I've also been tapping into curating journeys for specific emotions, oftentimes things that I've been working with. If I'm feeling like, I have a lot of shadow and darkness or anger and rage that I want to move within my body, I might create a journey specifically for that. Or the most recent event that I performed at, the name of the event was called Heart Activation. And it was a lot about how can we drop into our hearts and really open up the hearts and feel a lot of love and beauty and joy. So I was creating a journey specifically for that. It was very uplifting and joyous and happy. And there was no going into any of those dark, shadowy experiences. It was very euphoric and blissful. And it brought people back to childhood experiences where they were experiencing a lot of joy and dancing like a ballerina, which they hadn't done in 20, 30 years or something. So I'm able to kind of tap into what's needed for the end result and create a journey based off of that.
I love that. I want to see that because Heather has an inner ballerina.
I do have an inner ballerina.
Oh, awesome.
I think I was a ballerina in another lifetime, but I tap into her every now and then. But I don't know how to do it in this life, but I think I do.
That's amazing, though. I want to get in touch with my left shin as well because it is so overlooked. It's actually my right shin. I really need to tap into my right shin. It does bother me. So when you said that, I was like, oh my gosh, maybe this is what my shin needs. It needs music and movement and in a way where I honor it. But that's a beautiful thing that you bring up. It's like, yeah, you could laugh at it, but it's so true because we overlook so many aspects of our human body because we want the spiritual experience. But the whole purpose of this is to bring it into the body and to honor our body as it's going through all of these things. Yeah, it hurts. Ascension symptoms are real, but it's because we're bringing our bodies with us into a higher, and honestly, music is like of the gods. Like it is the angelic realm. Like, so that's no wonder why you're so learn how to use music to be healing. Because whenever my first QHHT session, that's all I heard. I literally kept like, because I did it in person at the very first one, and I kept like lifting up my thing and looking over. I'm like, "Are you playing music?" And she's like, "No." And I'm like, and then I go back down, and I'm just like, and I first place I went was the angelic realm, and it was nothing but music, and that is what is healing. So I love that you do that. It's such a big part of incorporating our body into this journey. So thank you, Daniel. You're doing such a great service.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you for that. And you're welcome. Yeah, the tallest trees have the deepest roots.
Yes. Yes.
That needs to be the name of this episode.
Yeah.
Maybe it shall be.
I love that. And you also have a YouTube channel, which I also list below, but you share more of your journey and more of your experience for anyone that wants to get to know you a little bit more.
Absolutely. Yeah, starting to put out some of the things that I've been learning, various perspectives. So more to come on YouTube as well.
I love that. I love that. This has been another amazing conversation. Daniel, thank you so much for being here with us today. We just absolutely love you in the portal, and so grateful and honored to have gotten to know your journey a little bit more today. And so be sure to check out the description for Daniel's information, where to find Sarah if you're looking. And if you'd like to join the portal, we would love to have you. I'll leave all of that information listed below. And thanks, guys. We will see you all in the next video.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Daniel.
You're welcome. Thank y'all.
Bye.